In the top stories, project focusing on citizens' security officially launched. Minister Byron emphasizes the importance of the Carry Secure initiative, and school meals building getting an upgrade. The details on these stories and more after the break.
Need a new stove, fridge, bed, or TV? Short of cash? Come to Quartz and let's get it done. Trade in your old item for 10% off the purchase of a new one and get what you need now with Quartz Ready Finance. So let's get it done only at Quartz, bringing value home.
Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Channel 5 newscast. I'm Carla Barrage. Several international organizations are currently hosting a two-day Inception workshop for a project entitled Carry Secure, Strengthening Evidence-Based Decision-Making for Citizen Security in the Caribbean. It is being organized by the United Nations Development Programme for Barbados and the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States in partnership with the United States Agency for International Development Mission for Eastern and Southern Caribbean. Speaking at the opening, Stephen O'Malley, UNDP resident representative for Barbados and the OECS, said the Carry Secure project is about strengthening evidence-based decision-making for citizen security in the Caribbean. He added that the event was important as it rolled out the new citizen security project in St. Kitts and Nevis.
In particular, youth involvement in criminal activity throughout the region has become increasingly prevalent, and it is crucial to break that cycle of youth involvement in drugs, gangs, crime, and violence. That requires much more than just the sanctions of aggressive anti-gang policing, better community policing, fewer firearms, effective counter-narcotics, and improved rule of law.
Government-to-government advisor for USAID mission for the Eastern and Southern Caribbean, Mansfield Blackwood, said that the goal of the YES project is to reduce youth involvement in crime and violence across the Eastern and Southern Caribbean.
We all know about the challenges of our young people and their involvement in various negative ways in each of our countries, with no exceptions, right across the region. And so we, as Juliet mentioned before, we spent quite a long time going through various different scenarios and hoops and jumping hurdles to develop and design this Youth Empowerment Services project. So that we're doing over the next 2 days is very important, a very important piece of our Youth Empowerment Services project to drive the process, the whole issue about data gathering and data assessment. Very important. And ultimately, the intention is to get to the end point there, as we said, reduction of youth involvement in crime and violence.
Deborah Wahlberg of Creative Associates International said that one of the most important things about the project is to engage with the private sector and members of civil society.
It's going to be important that all members of the society and community work to understand what role they have to play in terms of contributing to young persons' opportunities.
The goal of the Carry Secure project is to improve youth crime and violence policy making and programming in the South and Eastern Caribbean through the use of quality, comparable and reliable national citizen security information. Meanwhile, Attorney General Honorable Vincent Byron Jr. said that St. Kitts and Nevis is grateful to UNDP and USAID for the ongoing citizen security initiative. He described the Carry Secure workshop as extremely important to the Federation as it is faced with obstacles to development.
We in St. Kitts and Nevis face a number of developmental challenges. While St. Kitts and Nevis has done better than most of the other countries in terms of its recent economic growth and per capita income over the past few years, there's much still to be done. But whatever progress we may make may well be threatened if we don't get control of a lot of the ills that plague us at this moment. We know that we have high homicide rates here, as in the wider region, which can impede any progress we may have made and progress towards sustained growth and development.
He reflected on the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, global study on homicides for 2014, which revealed that 5 Caribbean countries, including St. Kitts and Nevis, were among the top 20 countries worldwide with the highest rates of homicides per capita.
So it's a matter of great concern for us as a people, because not only does it lead to a reputation that is not good for our country, but can impact as we move forward in terms of the economy, how we develop as we go forward. We often refer to a number of factors that can affect us in relation to our crime situation. A lot of this has been anecdotal, maybe too much so, which is why this particular workshop is of such extreme importance.
It is expected that by 2020, target countries will be using evidence-based decision-making to develop and approve programs which effectively target youth crime and violence risk factors.
We are told by researchers that homicide rates are largely attributed to intimate partner violence, gang-related youth violence, and the availability of illegal firearms. In Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, street gangs also contribute towards growing insecurity among our people. You'll be made aware, I'm sure, in the workshop, of a recent study that was undertaken by the Regional Security Service, the RSS, in which they have found that there are some 139 street gangs in this sub-region, with some 1,578 street gang members. These were reported by police in the various islands under the survey, via a survey. In each of the countries, gang members were typically between the ages of 12 to 24. I know the study also has found that in some cases, they are gang members as young as 9 years old. We're talking about primary level students who become members of gangs, are influenced by this at-risk youth in our society.
The Ministry of Education has begun renovations to the school meals building at Needmos Estate. The refurbishment began in late December 2016 and is expected to last until late January. According to a release, this is an effort to ensure that the school meals program is maintained at the highest standard. Some of the work to be done includes replacing wooden cupboards and tables with stainless steel kitchen furniture, installing locker rooms for the employees, upgrading the washrooms, and building a new food storage room. School Meals Program Coordinator Leon Williams said the upgrading of the facility was greatly needed and is expected to boost staff morale. He said construction is being done during non-working hours and a thorough washing of the area is done before and after the cooking. After the break, police seized the year's second firearm and a candlelight vigil held for 7-year-old LaShawn Thompson. We'll tell you more when we come back. The police have seized an illegal gun and marijuana following a search on Monday night. The police say officers, Defense Force soldiers, and a team from the K9 unit searched a house in the Willets Housing Project in St. Paul's and found one Springfield 40mm pistol and ammunition and a large quantity of marijuana. This brings to 2 the number of illegal firearms removed from our communities so far in 2017. Charges will be forthcoming. Divisional Commander Police Superintendent Lionel Moore commended the team and said focused intelligence gathering and textbook search operations with attention to detail has paid off. 36 illegal firearms were taken off the streets in 2016. Police investigators on Nevis are investigating a traffic accident on Thursday involving a police officer driving a police vehicle in the Indian Castle area on Nevis. According to reports, a police patrol responded to a call of a suspicious vehicle in the Rollins Village area at around 11:30 p.m. Upon arrival, the officers conducted an investigation around the area and noticed that one person was occupying the vehicle. The officers spoke to the man, who they later offered a lift home. According to reports, the individual was safely transported to his residence. Reports also indicate that after leaving the residence, the officers heard a noise on the roof and saw the man, who they thought was at his residence, attempting to enter the police vehicle. The police said the individual struck the driving officer in the face and pulled at the steering wheel while on the roof. The officer then lost control of the vehicle and collided with a parked excavator. Both officers were taken to the Alexandra Hospital for treatment. It is unclear what happened to the man, as reports indicate that he left the scene but returned to the police station the next day and filed a report of robbery, saying the officers had robbed him. ZIZ reached out to police in the Nevis division, but they declined to comment. The investigations continue. Friends and supporters of the family of the late LaShawn Thompson, who was hit by a bus a week ago, gathered at the site of the accident on Monday to pay tribute to the 7-year-old. The candlelight vigil included songs, poetry, a slideshow of LaShawn in happier times, and wishes of condolences to the bereaved family. In attendance were Parliamentary Representative for Constituency Number 8, Honorable Eugene Hamilton, and Opposition Representative Dr. Terence Drew, who both paid tribute in song and poetry respectively. On Monday, January 9th, LaShawn was attempting to cross the Island Maid Road in Keys when he was hit by passenger bus HA127. He died 2 days later. LaShawn is expected to be laid to rest next week. As plans progress for the staging of Culturama 2017, the Nevis Culturama Secretariat is inviting entries to the Culturama 43 slogan competition. In an interview with ZIZ, the director of the Culturama Secretariat, Antonio Liebert, outlined what the committee would be looking for.
We are looking for slogans that are short. The slogans should also be catchy, and the slogans should be of such that they capture the true spirit of Nevis' Culturama Festival. The one thing that we want persons submitting slogans to be very mindful of is that the slogans that they pen and submit into the competition should have never been used by any other festival or carnival committee.
Liebert also gave instruction for slogan submissions.
All entries should reach the Culturama Secretariat located in the Cotton General Mall, Charlestown, on or before Monday, February 20th, 2017. Now, if persons cannot come to the Culturama Secretariat to deliver their slogans, they can also use the option of emailing their slogans to the Secretariat at culturamanevis.com.
Culturama 43 is slated for July 27th to August 8th, 2017. Coming up, Brazil's president says unemployment is his top concern, and Guyana's opposition leader under fire for not allowing requirements laid out in the laws. The details when we come back. Brazil's President Michel Temer says unemployment is his top concern this year as the country emerges from its worst recession on record. Nathan Frandino reports.
Brazilian President Michel Temer says the end of a 2-year recession is nearing. In an interview with Reuters, Temer says he sees that end coming in the second half this year.
We think that from the second semester onwards, or halfway through the second semester, unemployment will begin to reduce and growth will come once and for all.
That growth is his focus. 8 months after taking over from impeached leftist Dilma Rousseff, Temur has pushed through measures to rein in public spending and provide credit to small and medium-sized companies. Inflation has slowed significantly, but economic activity has yet to pick up. Corruption allegations against politicians, including Temur and his allies, have shaken investor confidence. Still, Temur says job creation for the country's 12 million unemployed, and not the graft probe, is his top worry.
Colocar o país nos trilhos. Eu tenho dito isso.
Our concern is to put the country back on track. I say that often because we still have 2 years to do that. So if Brazil is back on track in 2 years, on track economically, ethically, and morally, then the next government will find the country in order and be able to make it grow progressively more.
Para fazê-lo crescer cada vez mais.
It's a track that Temur is confident he could put the country on before the next presidential election in 2018.
In Guyana, Communities Minister Ronald Bulkan says opposition leader Bharat Jagnew is not following the requirements stipulated by the local government legislation. HDP's Royden James reports.
Almost 1 year after local government elections were held here in Guyana, the operationalization of the vital Local Government Commission remains in limbo despite calls from relevant stakeholders. Communities Minister Ronald Bulkan explains why the process is stalled.
The non-adherence by the leader of the opposition to the requirements in the legislation, which calls for, under the legislation, that the persons submitted needs to be following consultations by the leader of the opposition with the other parties in the National Assembly.
The minister said that after the requirements were not fulfilled, he had sought clarification from the opposition chief whip, Gil Teixeira, on the matter, but the opposition is yet to keep their end of the bargain.
So I made it clear in the National Assembly, and by extension the public, that in the absence of that clarification from the leader of the opposition, that the process could not go forward. So as of now, we have still not received that clarification from the leader of the opposition. So it is one of the factors that is contributory to us not being able to go forward.
With regards to the government's nominees to sit on the commission, the minister said it is still premature to disclose those names, which have been identified.
We'll have to take it step by step, that we would have the candidate has already been selected by the parliamentary process after consultation with the local government organs. So the 3 persons that have been chosen by the leader of the opposition, we need clarification and confirmation that the provisions in the legislation were complied with.
The minister said what is of importance is the commitment of the government to repair the architecture of the local government system, but that it has to be done with the full cooperation of the opposition. Royden James, HGP Nightly News.
Coming up, wife of Orlando nightclub shooter arrested, and Friday marks the end of Joe Biden's 44 years in American politics. The details when we return. The wife of the Orlando nightclub shooter Omar Mateen has been arrested. She was taken into custody by FBI agents in the San Francisco area Monday morning. Here's more.
Authorities have arrested the wife of the gunman who killed 49 people and wounded dozens more at an Orlando nightclub last year. According to several reports, FBI agents took Norse Salman into custody in the San Francisco area Monday morning. Her husband was killed during last year's massacre in a shootout with police. Orlando's police chief said she has been charged with aiding and abetting and obstruction of justice. Early in the investigation, law enforcement said they were considering pursuing criminal charges against her if they could prove she knew about the attack and did nothing to stop it. As of early Monday afternoon, other details were still unknown. But Attorney General Loretta Lynch did confirm the arrest was made.
This is a matter that we continue to take very seriously. It was always our goal, and we said from the beginning we were going to look at every aspect of this case, of every aspect of this shooter's life.
The gunman's wife is scheduled to make an initial appearance in federal court on Tuesday.
With the inauguration for President-elect Donald Trump approaching, the new U.S. administration marks the end of 44 years in national politics for Barack Obama's Vice President, Joe Biden, as well. He spent 36 years as a senator from Delaware before President Obama chose him as his vice president. Al Jazeera's Alan Fisher reports on VP Biden's ending term from Delaware.
The best vice president America's ever had, Mr. Joe Biden.
The bond between President Obama and his vice president is deep and real. Picked for his foreign policy experience, the two were colleagues who became friends. Joe Biden took the job as long as he was the last voice in the room before the president made a decision.
Mr. President, you have more than kept your commitment to me by saying that you wanted me to help govern.
Joe Biden has been at Obama's side during some of the toughest, tensest, trying times of his presidency. From the White House, he's pushed women's rights, renewal of the legislation he authored in the Senate Violence Against Women Act.
No means no. In the classroom, in a car, on the campus.
And highlighted the problem of sexual assault on university campuses. He also pushed the president to take a position on an important social issue, to get closer to the Democratic Party's grassroots.
His comments on gay marriage, which I think were a little bit unplanned, and people might call that a gaffe or a goof, but it actually ended up having policy consequences that I think most people in the Democratic Party are happy with. He pushed the party in a direction that they kind of wanted to go anyway, and so his unscriptedness isn't inherently a bad thing.
He suffered a real personal tragedy while one heartbeat away from the presidency. His son Beau, a rising political star, died from brain cancer in May 2015. It was a devastating loss, and was the main reason he chose not to run for the presidency himself in 2016. He would go back to Delaware, his home state, as often as he could to support his son's family.
If things hadn't happened the way they happened and Joe had ran to be president of the United States, I think he would have won. Those blue-collar people within the party would have been right there with Joe, hand in hand with Joe, because they know where he comes from, they know what his background is, and so things would have been a whole lot different.
Delaware has always been important for Joe Biden. It's his political power base, the state he represented in the Senate for years. And when he finally leaves the White House, he'll come back here, to the place he calls home. Joe Biden's the man who's had the most influence for the longest period of any modern vice president. He says he will continue to focus on the fight against cancer, raising money and awareness, hoping to find a cure, to create a legacy that says something more than vice president. Alan Fisher, Al Jazeera, Wilmington, Delaware.
Up next in sports, Barbados Race Series gets underway this week, and Yaya Tour turns down a multi-million-dollar deal from China. Stay tuned.
Need a new stove, fridge, bed, or TV? Short of cash? Come to Quartz and let's get it done. Trade in your old item for 10% off the purchase of a new one and get what you need now with Quartz Ready Finance. So let's get it done only at Quartz, bringing value home.
The Barbados Race Series is expected to get underway this week. We hear more in this Nation News report.
The Mount Gay Around Barbados Race Series will kick off 2017, which has been designated the Year of Sports by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. Manager of Sports Devon Chase said the event, which will run from January 17 to 24, is expected to be just as exciting as last year. It has attracted more than 30 entries, with roughly half of them coming from overseas. 3 warm-up races will be held before the marquee event on Saturday. Organizer Howard Palmer says local teams always perform well.
If you sail from Carlisle Bay and you only go up to the cement plant, there's a certain where we get wind, where you don't get wind, where you go a little offshore, where you come a little inshore. So you've always got a little bit of edge. But of course, top international competition know that. And what they're doing last year, we had Ovi on Miss Barbados. They take some of the best of our talent and put them on their international yacht in order to get that advantage of that local knowledge. And that's what competition's all about, isn't it? And of course, what you've got to realise is when our sailors sail at the level of, say, something like Miss Barbados or something like Addicts, they are learning, they are increasing their knowledge, so they will get better. You know, it's all, if you compete with the best and you travel with the best, you get better.
Manchester City midfielder Yaya Toure has turned down a £430,000 a week offer from China. Tour 33 was the subject of interest from the Chinese Super League in the summer when it appeared he would play no part under manager Pep Guardiola. He decided against moving then and gave the same response when he was contacted again to say the offer remained open during the current transfer window. The Ivorian's contract at the Etihad expires in the summer. Meanwhile, Manchester City defender Barkey Sagna has been fined £40,000 by the Football Association after posting 10 against 12 on Instagram following a match. The France international, 33, made the remark after his side's 2-1 Premier League win over Burnley on 2nd January. City were reduced to 10 men in the 32nd minute of the match when referee Lee Mason sent off midfielder Fernandinho. The FA said the post, which was later deleted, questioned the integrity of the match official. Sagna has also been warned about his future conduct. City have not ruled out the possibility of appealing against the severity of the fine. When we come back, we'll have another look at the stories that made the headlines. Recapping the top stories. Project focusing on citizen security officially launched. Minister Byron emphasizes the importance of the Carry Secure initiative, and school meals building getting an upgrade. And finally, a massive alligator turned heads in Central Florida over the weekend. In the video taken Sunday afternoon at the Circle B Bar Reserve in Lakeland, a gigantic reptile appears out of some bushes and slowly walks across a patch of grass on the reserve's Mash Rabbit Run. Onlookers are seen in the background peering at the wild beast through camera lenses. Local residents have nicknamed the alligator Humpback, according to comments on the video. The video of Humpback had been shared more than 20,000 times as of Monday afternoon. And that's the end of the ZRZ Channel 5 newscast. Thank you for joining us. I'm Carla Barrage. Goodbye.